Hi, everybody. I hope you all have had a great week. And wherever you are, I think it's kind of raining where I am, so I hope you're staying dry. And we're going to get started with our webinar on smartphone security and privacy. So as usual, a brief table of contents so you can get an understanding of what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be giving information regarding how to passcodes, how to keep your operating systems and apps up to date. And we're also going to be speaking about how to safeguard your personal information and maintain a high level of privacy when using your smartphone. So you may be wondering, why are strong passcodes important? It is crucial that your passwords are strong and difficult for anybody other than you to guess, because it's like a shield for all of your online accounts, which lead to personal information and data. Similar to a secret code that you are the only one who knows, strong passcodes stop hackers from getting in and stealing any of your information or anything that you have stored online. If you have a weak passcode, it's similar to leaving your door unlocked. So you kind of can allow the world in, and this can lead to a lot of trouble regarding your personal safety and all of your information. So just like a lot of us when we go to bed, I hope you lock your front door. We want to make sure that you're locking your door into the virtual online world to make sure everybody is safe. So now some tips for how to create strong passcodes. You want to always avoid using easily guessable passwords. And to do this, you want to be using a mix of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters such as exclamation points, $signs, really any kind of combination that would be difficult for somebody to guess based on your name or where you live. So you don't want to just put your own name, for example, because somebody could very easily just try that and they would end up getting into your account. You also do want to keep in mind passcode length. Longer passcodes tend to be more secure because they're more difficult to guess, because there are more combinations than if, say, it were a shorter passcode. So you want to aim to have at least 12 characters and also avoid using common words or phrases such as your name or your city or kind of a sentence that is coherent that would be easy to just type in. If you are going to use words, you kind of want to make a password that isn't a coherent sentence. So now we're going to go through a few passcode examples together. So something good would be passcode $2023, and this is because they've replaced certain letters with different symbols, making it very difficult for somebody to know that the person would have changed out that particular letter, and also because it's kind of random, it has a random year at the end, and it also includes symbols in the middle. Something that would be a bad or weak password would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, I feel like our default is to try 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be very intuitive for anybody trying to get into your account to try out, or just a simple word such as password, because there are no uppercases, symbols, nothing is very different than just the word itself. And you do want to, in addition to including any personal information such as your address or your name, you don't want to include your birthday in a passcode. Usually it's fine to just include the year. So for example, I may have like 2005 in one of my passwords because that's the year that I was born, but I wouldn't put my full birth date. Now, another thing that's very helpful to ensuring that your smartphone is safe is updating your operating systems and applications. This is because regular updates tend to improve security as newer versions have more software that will help to protect you while using your device. And in order to update your software, you want to go into Settings and then click on Software Update. It's also a good idea to enable automatic updates if it's available for your device. I know that Apple devices are definitely able to do this, so it'll just update overnight, or it'll tell you, your phone has been automatically updated, so then it's not something you have to think about so much. Something that's also important to think about is that many outdated applications can have vulnerabilities. So you want to make sure that you're checking your App Store if you're on an Apple device, or the Google Play Store if you're on an Android, and then go into My Apps or the Updates section to ensure that you have the newest version of all of the different apps that you have on your device. And you can also enable auto updates if this is something that's more convenient for you. You also do want to think about the types of apps that you're downloading and where you're downloading them from. So make sure that you're only downloading applications from official stores. Also check reviews and ratings to see what other users have experienced in terms of safety and security with the app, and avoid third-party app sources. So make sure you're just using the app as it is rather than using any third parties associated with the application. Now we're going to discuss data backups. So you do want to be regularly backing up your data, and you can use cloud storage or a computer or an external hard drive, for example, and this will help to protect yourself against data loss. And we have done many presentations in terms of cloud storage, such as OneDrive, Google Drive, etc., and also how to use hard drives. So you can we can put those in the chat for you, or you can also explore the Cyber Seniors webinars that have already been recorded, and you can learn more about backing up your data. Now, it's also important to be aware of the privacy settings on your device. You can go into your settings in order to review the different settings available. You want to disable any unnecessary tracking or allowing certain applications to see your location when it's not necessary. For example, if you're using Google Maps, that's totally necessary for it to know where you are, or else you can't use the app at all. But something like Snapchat or Instagram, you don't necessarily have to have your location settings enabled, so you can just turn that off for extra protection. Also, you do want to opt out of data collection if possible, just so that you're not giving any additional information than is necessary. There's also remote tracking and wiping. So if you enable the Find My feature, then you can locate, lock, or erase your device remotely, which is very helpful if you lose your device and you know that somebody has taken it, or you know that they're doing something bad with any information on that device. You can just completely wipe it, and this will protect your personal data if your device is lost or stolen, so nobody can access any saved passwords you have, any of your private messages, banking information, etc. And here is a little infographic about remote wiping, and it is a security feature that enables a system administrator or device owner to send a command that will delete data stored in the end user's device. So you don't have to have the device with you in order to just completely clear it of all of your information if it is compromised. So now it's important to also consider how to safeguard your personal information and maintain privacy. Something that's really great about smartphones and other mobile devices is that it keeps us connected, and it allows us to share things about ourselves and really speak with others and communicate. But this can also hold a high amount of risk, as there's lots of sensitive personal information. And there are situations where users may be vulnerable to threats, including viruses, spyware, and ransomware. There are malwares that exist, which can spread a number of ways, including through text messages, applications, emails, and especially web links or URLs. So in order to combat these threats, you want to always pay attention to permissions and privacy policies. For example, when you sign up for any online services or download an application, you want to always make sure that you first learn about what personal information is collected and why. So if you think it's unnecessary to give a certain piece of information, such as your credit card information when you're not actually buying something, then you want to make sure, think twice and say, this may be unsafe for me to enter this information. Before hitting any I agree buttons, always take the time to read the privacy policy and the terms of use to make sure you understand how your data is going to be used and how it's protected by that certain platform. Also, look out for any applications or platforms that distribute your information to third parties. So this can be a way that your personal information is leaked or compromised. So always make sure you know who you're sharing that information with and what they're doing with that information. And most importantly, if you're not comfortable with how a service is handling personal information, don't sign up for it. Find an alternative, maybe speak to some friends or family, and find another way to do whatever you were planning on doing. Also, enabling automatic updates can be very helpful in terms of privacy. And this is for both operating systems and applications that you download, because you want to always have the updates that contain security and privacy fixes. By enabling automatic updates, it is definite that you will have those fixes happen without you even having to do anything. So rather than worrying about checking every week or every month for an update, it'll just do it on its own to make sure that you're always as protected as possible. So if you're looking to go through the steps of enabling automatic updates, you want to go into the Google Play Store and tap on Menu, and then go to Settings, and then furthermore, go into the Network Preferences and click on Auto Update Apps. Your operating system should be set to update automatically by default, so you don't need to worry as much about that. It's more about going into the Google Play Store or the Apple Store for those applications. And here, the screenshot on the right-hand side of the screen is taken from an Android device, and it's in the software update settings of an Android in the Google Play Store, and you can click on Auto Download. And something that's also super handy is the auto update overnight. So rather than it happening during the day when you may be using your device, it'll just happen overnight as long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, and then you really don't have to worry about it. So it's just a step further of just having automatic updates that don't interrupt your day-to-day life. Now, you may also want to enable Find My Device, and this can be super handy if you ever lose your phone, and you'll be able to locate it remotely. And if you can't retrieve the phone because, somebody's taking it, or maybe you lost it in an airport and it's just long gone and you're never getting it back, then you can actually remotely wipe your device, as I mentioned previously in the presentation, to make sure that all of your private data is erased from it. If you want to do this, there are a few steps. So if you're on an Android device, you can locate and remotely wipe a phone if you think it is in somebody's hands who may be using it in a bad way, or your information is at risk of being stolen. You will go into Settings, then Security, and then Find My Device, and make sure it is toggled on and enabled. And once it is enabled, you can track your phone or remotely wipe it from any browser if you go on to Find My Device and you log in. And here's another screenshot. It's the Android smartphone, and it's from the settings under Find My Device. And then you can just see it's green, it is toggled on, and then you'll be able to find your device if you log into the app on somebody else's smartphone, or if you go onto their website. You also want to be thinking about protecting your devices from harmful programs, apps, and websites. So always download apps from official and trusted sources. You can also keep your devices, software, and apps up to date and make sure that all updates are installed regularly. Also be aware that malicious software is constantly evolving, so it's important to update your software and applications to make sure that the essential protection and privacy settings are activated on your phone. And also, you should regularly delete programs and apps you no longer use just because they can become infected with malware. So the fewer apps you have, the less likely and less vulnerable you are to somebody hacking into your device. There's also something called a VPN. So similar to desktops, VPNs are becoming more and more important on mobile devices because they encrypt all of your internet traffic traveling to and from your device. There are a few free mobile VPNs that you can download, such as TunnelBear and Hotspot Shield. And there are also some even better paid alternatives, which are included for supporting both desktops and mobile devices. So they kind of come as packages if that's something you're more interested in. We have another complete webinar on VPNs, and we can send that for you in the chat, which is super helpful. This is a tool that many people use and have really found helpful in protecting themselves. So here is a helpful visual to understand how a VPN actually works. So here's the user device, and you can see that there's a lock, and it kind of is unlocked because, anything can be intercepted. But when you have the VPN, everything is encrypted. So you can imagine your information traveling through tunnels that nobody can get into. So anybody trying to hack in or cyber criminals, they're not going to be able to get in because it's protected, and it will be protected between the VPN server and the internet service provider. And then there's also the internet as well involved as well. So it's kind of a way to connect your device to the internet through a protected secret tunnel, and nobody will be able to access anything traveling through that tunnel. It's also very important to be aware of public Wi-Fi risks, especially since Wi-Fi has become such a significant part of our lives. If we ever go out to the mall or to a coffee shop, typically we connect to Wi-Fi if we want to access the internet. But you do want to avoid sensitive transactions on public Wi-Fi. You can actually use a VPN for secure browsing because, again, your information will be encrypted and nobody else will be able to intercept it. But just make sure you're not doing online banking or sharing passwords or sending any confidential information, because there is a risk of people kind of hacking into your device when you're on a public Wi-Fi network. And also turn off sharing and enable your firewall to put up that extra layer of protection to prevent anything from passing through and getting to your device. And here are just a few of the risks of public Wi-Fi. It's a way for malware to be easily distributed. There are malicious hotspots, man-in-the-middle attacks, Wi-Fi snooping and sniffing, and unencrypted networks. So VPNs really target helping this risk of unencrypted networks by encrypting all of your information. There's also something called two-factor authentication. I think many of us are familiar with this, but if not, that's totally okay. It's a really great way to add a second layer of protection, and you can enable it with many different sites and accounts, for sure with mobile banking, lots of social media accounts now, Instagram, Facebook, and it's just a very helpful way to ensure that anybody logging in is truly you rather than someone pretending to be you. You will receive a code on another device to verify who you are and that it's actually you trying to sign into the account. So an example of this would be if I were on my computer and I'm signing into Facebook and it says two-factor authentication, and then below it will say, we've sent a code to, say, your mobile device, so through a text message or through an email address, and then you'd get that code and you have to type the code into Facebook, and that just proves that you were the person trying to log in. Unless for some reason that person also had access to your email, then the two-factor authentication wouldn't be helpful, because whoever's trying to log in, who's not actually you, will be successful. But for the most part, it's very helpful to adding a second layer of protection. You do also always want to avoid phishing, which is something that has become more and more prominent in the online world. Always be cautious of unexpected emails or texts. Make sure you're always verifying the identity of the sender, and never ever click on any suspicious links, ever, because that will just open a world of problems to you. The second you click on it, there might be malware on your computer, a virus might have infected your software, your device. So just delete any phishing emails, report them if you're able to, or verify that it's a legitimate email and continue on. And here are 3 main rules to avoid phishing and cybersecurity attacks. Always stop and think before clicking on any links or attachments, as I mentioned. If things look fishy, verify them with the sender through a different medium. So don't respond to the sketchy email. Maybe if it's from a friend, message them or call them on the phone saying, hey, was this you? Did you send this to me? And also, when in doubt, throw it out. So you can always just delete the email if it's not important or it's something irrelevant to you. If you don't even know what they're talking about, just totally delete it, because it's most likely or definitely a scam. So those are a few steps to always keep in mind. So now here are a few resources that we're going to explore together to help us have a better understanding of the topic. So firstly, we have an article for you from the New York Times, and it's called 11 Practical Privacy Tips for Your Android Phone. So if you're an Android user, you may be interested in reading the advice that this author has. And there are just lots of tips and then some explanations on how to actually put these steps into action. Here's another article, which is called How to Protect Your Mobile Phone Privacy, including calls, SMS, and location data. And this is just a few more tips and tricks and an in-depth kind of resource that you can look into in order to really, really protect yourself. And then there's also another piece by Compare Tech on how to protect your privacy on smartphones and tablets. So you may find that many of the tips or advice that they're giving you in these articles are very similar to the presentation you just heard. So this is kind of just a way to dive even deeper into the topic and maybe get a few new tips as well. So now we're going to watch a video together for our live demonstration portion of today's webinar. So thank you so much for joining today. If you'd like to learn this lesson with a Cyber Seniors mentor, please go to our website or call our phone number to register for a one-on-one tech session. And we do also host weekly tech drop-in sessions from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursdays, and everybody is more than welcome to join in with any tech-related questions.